This right here is probably the cheapest AM5 gaming PC that I would recommend building, and not even go as far as saying this is the best gaming PC under $1,000. It's got all new parts, and I'm gonna go through the buying and building process in this video, as well as testing out the gaming benchmarks, as it does perform pretty well, especially compared to its older brother. You'll see what I mean later. To start us off, we're using one of the bundles we just got from Micro Center. If you haven't seen my previous video, make sure you check it out, as we also got this bundle in that video. This includes a 7500 X3D and the motherboard pre-installed, and then 16 gigabytes of DDR5. So let's go ahead and check it out. We got everything that comes with it. Here we have it. A very clean looking board. Obviously it's not the best, but it comes with a 7500 X3D, and if you were to just buy this right here, it's only $200. But obviously we need RAM, and this is only $100 more, $300 for the entire bundle. Now, if you don't have a Micro Center near you, the pricing does change. Some people actually resell this bundle. The only thing I would change is potentially 16 gigs, but dual channel, or just getting a different CPU, as it's only sold at Micro Center. Anyways, this is all educational at the end of the day. So we're gonna take our 16 gigabyte stick. So you're gonna pop out your second slot here, and then lining it up, and then apply enough force, snaps right in there. And then next up is our 1 terabyte NVMe. Yep, a whole 1 terabyte NVMe. Nowadays, this feels impossible, but this one's actually not too bad, as the price is $104 before tax. And this deal's on eBay, and it did go away, but now as I'm recording this, it's back. So it's really just with these 20% off deals that eBay has, pretty much just with whatever holiday is going on. I think this one's just summer, to be honest. So it looks like this one might be screwless. Here we take our NVMe. Slots right in. You want to make sure you can actually press down, and then you can move this little latch, and then that way you can secure it in. Now if we screw this on over here, something really great about the CPU is also the cooling. It does not need a super good cooler as you would think with an X3D chip. This one just needs a standard air cooler. It doesn't really matter which one you use. I'm only using this one because I got it at a good deal a long time ago, and I still have it. So, and it comes with a fan pre-installed. It's a pretty clean looking cooler, I must admit, but I always include the best deals for when I post a video in the description, and that way you can also support me if you use my link. Anyways, to install our brackets, we have everything right here, and then we just need to unscrew these pre-installed ones. And taking these bad boys, we just kind of screw them into these holes that we just left. And then we take these brackets facing it this way, then we can just hand tighten them as well. Then using some thermal paste we got for free in one of our previous videos, you can apply some right now. A little bit more came out than I wanted. So we can just slot in our air cooler now. I'm just kind of screwing them evenly right now. And there we go, all screwed in and almost done. This last thing we have to do is plug in our CPU fan right under there. And we can also plug in our RGB as well, as it has the daisy chain, which is really nice. Now our motherboard is all set up and ready to go. Next up is the case. And here we have our case. This runs from Okinos. This is their Aqua Uno. They just came out with it and they sent me it for review. So let's go check it out. They always make really good cases, so I'm excited for this one too. And obviously this one looks pretty clean. And here they also tell you a little bit about the case. And they also are selling many different colorways. I got this one because I thought it looked pretty clean. We got that little white with the black, make that little zebra build. Anyways, we're gonna grab our screw bag from the back and then install the motherboard. So first things first, we're gonna want to install our IO shield because this motherboard actually doesn't come with one. It kind of just snaps right in, and all our standoffs are already where they're supposed to be. So now we can just slide in our motherboard. Now with the screws that look like these, we can then screw them all into our motherboard to secure it. And that's all screwed in nice and easy. Time to move on to plugging things in. So first things first, what we can actually do here is take our RGB male port and plug it into this one, because this one was all the fans. And now the CPU cooler and the fans on the case are now synced up. And then now we can take things like our HD audio and just put it on the bottom left of the motherboard, and take our USB 3.0. This goes towards the middle. Then we can take everything for F panel, which all goes in the bottom right of the motherboard, and this is what the orientation looks like. And then since these fans are powered by SATA, now we can install our power supply, which is the MSI Mag A750BN. I think you only need 650 watts for our GPU, which is about to come up, but this one is very solid tier C unit, which will be plenty for our build. Right now, power supplies are actually really cheap, so you can get this for even cheaper than what I bought it at, which was already a good deal. So all we have to do is just slide it in, fan facing down. Now you just screw in the power supply. And first things first, we could do is route our motherboard power right about here. Then we actually need both of our CPUs because there is an extra 4+4 pin, but that is completely optional. I'm just gonna plug it in because I can. And then now we can just plug in our SATA. And the last thing to do is just route the PCIe to the front hole here. And for now, we can just shove all the cables in the open space in this case. Then before we install our GPU, I'm just going to unscrew this bracket and then take these two off so we can actually put our GPU in the case. Then we can pop back our PCIe, and here our GPU of choice is a 9060 XT 16 gig. Now this was an open box deal that I got, and this thing is tiny, which is perfect for our case because obviously this is a pretty small compact case. And yeah, this won't really affect performance either. And I didn't realize it only have one 8-pin. Anyways, slide it in, apply some force. Snaps right in. And here we can plug in our 8-pin. Using the same screws from our power supply, we can then screw it in to secure it all in its place. And there we go. Obviously, there's some cable managing to do and potentially using cable extension. I just thought I'd use the stock cables for now, and it still turned out pretty nice. I might try a white cable extension to see if that really looks any better. But yeah. Now it's time to test out how this performs. We'll see the difference between this 7500X3D versus the 7600X3D, as these are very similar specs. All right, so we're back on some Arc Raiders, and this is basically the exact same settings I'm gonna run. The only difference we have here between the last video is this is a 7500X3D, not a 7600X3D. And we're gonna test if the $50 difference is worth it or if you should save those 50 bucks. Here on some Arc Raiders, we are getting a minimum of about 90 to 95, and then it goes up to like 110. I would say an average of about 98. Now we're gonna put it on the quality settings here on AMD FSR 4. And then yeah, I mean, this is just that slight improvement in looks. Obviously, the frames aren't really going to change, and the looks also didn't really change. It's really dependent on where you are on the map and what you're doing, but the frames do not drop much at all, so that is also very nice. Now, the ultimate performance test, we're going to be running the lowest, not cinematic, the all low settings. Here we go. It really is dependent on where you are and what's going on. Things aren't even fully loaded over there, so very good frames. Not much of a difference between the 7600 XRD. It's really hard to see in this game as we're not using like an actual benchmark. We're kind of just running around randomly, but obviously very playable if you're looking at this CPU. All right, now we're on Fortnite, you know what I'm saying? 440p performance mode, this is what I always run. And then the low settings, and obviously we're gonna get way more FPS than we actually need. I don't even know where I'm gonna go. Obviously it depends where you are on the map, but you're gonna be getting over 200 FPS easily, pretty much no matter what. I mean, I don't know what it's like in endgame, but yeah, edit on who? Me? Oh, I have no builds. Just edit on me, bro. That's unfortunate. Bruh. Hey, and while we're landing to fight that guy, we gotta put it on 1080p now, because obviously we need more frames in order to win. No, I tried it. As we can see, 400 FPS a lot of times. I mean, I don't really know how much of the difference is between 1440p and 1080p. It doesn't really matter. It runs. And once again, we're running 1440p TSR quality with high settings. And yeah, last time this got pretty similar FPS at about that 70-75 range. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan, but to be honest, this game is one of those games where you probably could just play it at 60 FPS. Anything really more than that is honestly kind of overkill. Usually just want to crank up the settings on this type of game. But yeah, that's exactly what we have done here, and this is probably the high settings I would play it at. But we're gonna see what that's like on 1080p, and boom, a huge performance increase. Same exact settings, just the resolution is different. So If you're going to be playing 1080p, you could increase it some more because it's going to run pretty good on this. I'm seeing a lot of 100 FPS on there, so that's really nice. And what we always like to do is test the most amount of frames we can get. We're going performance. We're going low settings. Restarting the game, I think, changes like 1 or 2 of these settings. But yeah, we are getting plenty FPS once again. But I will say, after all of these tests, I haven't really seen much of a difference between the 7500X3D and the 7600X3D. But yeah, very solid, at least 150 FPS. Upwards to like 180, 190 maybe. And now we're on some Marvel Rivals. We got that new map, we got the new character, we got everything. And all the AIs are dead already. Anyways, we are running 1440p performance and low settings because I wouldn't run anything higher than this. That's the only reason. I think I probably mentioned that last time too. And probably every time I will mention that because, well, it still looks good enough, and it's pretty hard to run this game, believe it or not. It's not very optimized. And from what I've seen, it's running pretty good compared to the other one. In fact, it might be running better. That's just all depending on what's going on in the game. But we're gonna change it right now to 1080p. Same settings. I wanna see the difference before this game is over. I'm not gonna lie, that is a insane performance increase. Hold on, I'm tough, hold on, I'm tough. Oh yeah, but 240 FPS after it was just like 160, 170 is actually insane. All I did was make it 1080p. So even if you have 1440p and you want that 240 FPS, then man, you could really do it. And now finally, we are on some Cyberpunk. Ray tracing, ultra, very high settings, obviously. We're gonna run that benchmark now. Not bad. If I remember correctly, this was about 63 FPS, so it's basically the same thing. A $50 difference for the same performance, but of course, we don't need ray tracing, so we're gonna be running the same ultra benchmark. And it was about the same thing here. I'm not gonna lie, I will put the difference on the screen, and man, it's getting like the same FPS, especially in this game. Realistically, any settings, any game that is at a lower FPS range, like 100 and below, you're not really going to see much of a change, but when it goes to those really high numbers is when you will. So now it's only appropriate if we go low settings. And 185, I swear that's more FPS than the 7600X3D. Did I do something wrong? And I'm back. I told y'all this might be the best value gaming PC, and under $1,000, all brand new parts right here. This has to outperform everything. The only way I think you can beat this value is by just getting insane used deals, and good luck with that. But yeah, if you're not able to get a bundle from Micro Center, what I would do is I would look over on AliExpress. They have some insane deals during the summertime thing. So you get some cash back, you get some coupons, you get some already good prices, and you could probably score pretty good value CPU. And also DDR5 is a little bit cheaper on there. But to save the most amount of money without a Micro Center, what I would do, go on Zach Tech Turf's Discord and also follow Build a PC Sales on Reddit, maybe Hardware Swap as well for the used parts. And yeah, good luck. Subscribe, more videos in the near future, and also good deals.